Welcome to 2026. We are here for our January market update where we are going to be looking back on what happened in 2025 so that we can look ahead to what we are expecting for 2026. To get us started, I am going to go through all of the closed sale information, how 2025 closed out for Muskogee and Harris County in Georgia and Russell and Lee County in Alabama. Once I go through that, then we're going to talk with Jared Hudson at Northstar Bank for all things mortgage and interest rates, to talk some about like where rates are and what we're thinking looking ahead at 2026. So to get us started, let's go with Muskogee and Harris County. How did we end up in 2025? 2025, 2,396 closed sales, as opposed to 2024, which was 2,550 closed sales. That is a decrease in overall closed units of about 6% from year to year. Average days on market, 44. Average days on market for 2024 was 38. Not a big difference there. Average sales price was $288,300. Average sales price in 2024 was $271,700. So that is an increase of about 6.11%. In 2024, when I did this market update, the increase from 2023 to 2024 was about 5.93%. So hovering right around that 6%. What does that mean? That means homes are not losing value on average. So if you're thinking, hey, I'm not going to make a move because I'm waiting for prices to come down, it has not happened since 2020 and even before that, but I've been tracking closely since 2020 with our market updates. And it is not projected that we are going to see decrease in home values in the coming year. So what that means for you if you're looking to buy is, hey, don't keep waiting, because every year that you wait, prices keep going up. So we'll talk more about that. Currently, there are about 533 active listings in the MLS for Muskogee and Harris County. This is for Columbus Board of Realtors. Last year, this time, there were about 444. So that's an increase of about 20% from year to year. That's great news. That means we're finally getting some more inventory coming into market. It's still considered very low inventory, but we're getting more inventory, which means buyers have more choices. So good time to be out looking and planning for this year on your new purchase. Financing. I like to look at what types of financing people get. It gives you perspective on what to expect as a seller. Of course, I can get deep in the weeds on all this and break it down to price points and a lot of other things, but I try to keep it pretty easy so this doesn't get too convoluted. This is just overall for the market. There were 574 cash buyers, so that represented about 24% of the market. Conventional loans were 713, so that was about 30% of the market. FHA was about 437, so that was 18% of the market. VA was 634, so that was about 20% of the market. And then other was around 38, that was about 2% of the market. And that could be things like owner financing, it could be USDA, and some other ancillary types of financing that are available out there. Looking at total closed volume, not just number of transactions, but actual closed volume. Quick insert into this video. When I was giving you guys the total closed volume for Muskogee and Harris County, I totally botched the numbers. So I'm recording this quick clip to add into that video with the correct numbers. So the total closed volume in Muskogee and Harris County for 2025 was $690,756,000. For 2024, it was $705,592 million. So that is a 2.7% decrease in overall closed volume from 2024 to 2025. It kind of runs in line with the reduced number of transactions as well. So now back to the main video as well. But what's interesting about all of that is that we have seen average sales price continue to go up. So while volume has gone down, while number of transactions has gone down, average sales price has continued to grow. So keep that in mind. All the people who are thinking prices are going to plummet at some point, it's really not where the market is. It's not what we're seeing. Now, we're also not seeing the extreme increases in value that we were seeing in 2021 and 2022 when we were looking at, it was somewhere around 20%, give or take. Some were more, some were less on overall sales price increase. It was crazy. We're not seeing that now. We're down at that 6% range in both 2024 and 2025. So that's been consistent over the last couple of years. All right, let's move forward to Russell and Lee County. Closed sales, 1,206. Closed sales in 2024, 1,265. That's about a 4.66% decrease. Average days on market, 43. Average days on market for 2024 was 35. Average sales price for 2025 was $291,500. $291,650. In 2024, it was $275,000. That's an increase of 6%, 6.05. And that for 2024, we had an increase of 3.73%. So we had a bigger increase in overall average sales price for last year than we did in 2024, but both years were increased, which is consistent since about 2020 and even before that. All right, active sales. There are currently about 254 active sales in the East Alabama Board of Realtors for Russell and Lee County, excluding Auburn. There in 2024, around this time, we had 248. So that's an increase of about 2.42%. So that's good. Again, seeing a little more inventory. Pending sales, currently we're at about 151 pending sales. This time last year, we were at about 89. That's a 41% increase in pending sales. We love to see increase in pending sales. That means more homes are under contract right now in the market this year at this time than they were last year at this time. It's an indicator of buyer activity, so that's a positive thing. All right, looking at what types of financing did people use when they purchased? All right, for 2025, 134 of these closed sales were cash, so that's about 11%. Conventional, it was 215, so that's about 18%. FHA was 223, that's right about 18% range, and of course we're rounding on these. VA was 601, so that was about 50% of the closed sales were VA. That is huge to know as a seller. If you're coming into the market and you're thinking, oh, I don't want to deal with VA, you're going to cut out about 50% of the buyer market. Not a good thought. And VA is not an intimidating type of financing, but it is definitely the majority in Russell and Lee County consistently over the years. And then about 33 of the closed sales were other types of financing, and that was about 3% of the market. Overall closed volume, this one really was interesting. I had to look at it a couple of times to make sure I had it right. The overall closed sales volume for 2025 was $351,730,000, and in 2024 it was $351,140,000. It is an increase ever so slightly of 0.17%. I mean, the closed volume was almost dead on the same, which blew my mind. Transaction count was different. It was less transaction count, but average sales price, remember, was significantly higher. It was up, 40, let me go back and look here. Average sales price was up, 6.05%, so up at 291. So that change actually equated to good volume for the year. So even though we saw less transactions, not significantly, but slightly less transactions closed, we saw volume go up a little bit. So anyhow, that is our snapshot of what happened in 2025. I will have all this data on our website. If you go to the blog and videos section of kimmixon.com, you can actually review this. I've got it there all typed out. You don't necessarily have to go back and watch the video again if you're wanting to kind of study any of those numbers. And if there's any specific data you want me to pull on your neighborhood, on your market area, whatever that might look like, I can pull all of these statistics and more on more micro segments of our market. So don't ever hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to do it and happy to share the information. And on that note, we are now going to bring in Jared Hudson from Northstar Bank to talk all things mortgage and interest rate. Well, welcome, and
hey, how are
Happy
you?
New Year.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, all right, what you got for us? I'm not going to spoil this. I'm going to let him give the news.
All right, so we have great news, okay? So we are in a market that is stable, and we are close to median average. So on conventional, we're going to be around 6.25. VA, FHA, we're going to be around 5.75. We are not expecting any big changes this year, so we're not going to have
stability.
Stability is the key.
Yes,
right?
This is going to be the year of stability. We're not going to be dealing with crazy, like one day to the next, not really the uncertainty of not knowing what rates we're going to do, not knowing what the Fed was going to do. Let's talk about what are the experts saying about where the Fed's going to go with things this year?
Okay, so we are not expecting any cuts over the next couple of meetings. The biggest thing is inflation has cooled. So we are under 3% inflation, which is great news. That stabilizes the market. Job employment is jobless claims has decreased as well.
Okay.
So we are not expecting any big movements from the Feds, especially over the next couple meetings. For the year, everyone is predicting for the rates to gradually decrease. So whenever we say gradual, we're not going to have any big steps or any big moments in the rates this year.
Okay.
So we are not expecting any fluctuation or changes.
That's not a bad thing. Yes.
Good.
I mean, of course, would we love to hear, oh my gosh, the rates are going to be going down, 0.5% in the next week. Of course, in our world, that would be wonderful. But the reality is rates really are good. They are on historical averages. They have settled in, calmed down. You can rely on some rate quotes right now.
Absolutely. Yes. Right. Throughout 25, you would give a quote and you just kept your fingers crossed for news coming out where you didn't have any big movement. And you just, oh, please. So we are not expecting, we should not have any news that is volatile this year.
Okay, good. So stability is the key. And, Jared and I were talking about it before we started. The thing is, over the last few years, everybody's been waiting for one of two things: for rates to come down and or for prices to come down. And what we want you to, if you take nothing else away from this video, what we want you to understand about looking ahead into 2026 is there are no projections of pricing coming down. We've got a good kind of stable buyer-seller environment right now. Average, good, reasonable negotiations are happening between buyers and sellers. No one is more dominant than the other in the average transaction. So things are kind of, stable from that standpoint. So the idea that pricing is going to change drastically, no. As a matter of fact, predictions are we should continue to see price increases, some equity growth, some average value growth over the year. Now, are we expecting it to be some crazy double digits? No, as I said before, but we are not expecting to see pricing coming down. So that's the one thing I want you to take away. The second thing I want you to take away is that rates are projected to be stable this year. So we are not expecting big rate changes, especially in a downward trajectory. We'd love it if we saw it come down a little more. That'd be great. I know from the buyer side that would feel good, and from sellers who are sitting on 3%, 2.9, whatever your rate might be, you might like to hear that the rates are going to be 5.25%, but that's just not what we're expecting this year. We're not going to say what will and won't happen. We do not have the ability to predict the future, but looking at what the experts are saying, what the data is coming in, it should hold pretty steady. So if you are sitting on the fence waiting for something to happen, it's not likely to happen. If those are one of the two things that you're waiting for. So get out and live life. Don't let rates and pricing hold you back from what your next step in life is going to be. Let's move forward. Let's make decisions. Let's make good, informed decisions. It doesn't mean everybody is in the same boat on this, but I know a lot of people have been holding in place, and maybe you've outgrown that home. Maybe you're sitting in an apartment where you are paying 100% interest every month. So, what'd you say VA FHA is?
So we're going to be around 575 right now.
575 is a whole lot less than 100% interest. So if you're in the rental side right now, waiting for the market to have a big change, stop. Because what's happening is you're spending money on rent that is, again, I'm calling it 100% interest because it's not going to any kind of equity growth or investment for you. And then you're waiting for prices to come down that have not come down and are not showing anything but projections of continued gradual growth and value. So the longer you wait, this time next year, it's likely a home that is, $250,000 is going to be possibly 3% more next year. So what are you saving by waiting? Let's make decisions. Let's make good informed decisions, but let's make some decisions and move forward in 2026. This is the year for people to stop sitting on the fence.
100% agree.
All right.
I mean, if we're fighting, if rates are stable and you're sitting on the couch waiting, all we're doing is just passing up equity over the next year or two.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, all right, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
So you can give me a call at 706-681-9797. Email is jared.hudson@northstarlending.com.
Excellent. All right, and mine, phone number is 706-332-6349, and my email address is kim@kimmixon.com, and you can call or text me or anyone on my team. We are happy to help, whether you're looking to buy or sell. Let's have a conversation. Let's look ahead. Maybe it's not right now this month that you want to put your house on the market or that you want to buy, but you're thinking sometime this year. Let's start that process now. It's not too early to start having those good conversations and putting a plan together. So, all right. Well, until I guess it'll be April will be our next market update.
Hopefully some warmer weather.
Yes.
It is cold today.
Yes. Hopefully some much warmer weather by April. But we'll be looking in April at what has happened first quarter of 2026. Until then, have a great first quarter and stay warm. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.